Welcome to Reformed Thinking. You know, the story of the Exodus is probably one of the most famous rescue missions in all of human history. It's epic. But what if the main point wasn't just about freeing a nation of slaves? What if every single part of it, the plagues, the Red Sea, the whole spectacle, was really designed to answer one single ultimate question?
I mean, think about it. Why did God unleash wonder after wonder, plague after plague on Egypt? Not just one or two, but 10 of them. Was it really just about twisting Pharaoh's arm to let his people go? Well, as we're about to see, the story reveals a design that is so much bigger, so much grander than that.
And here it is. This is the main idea, the absolute heart of it all. Every single event, from the first plague to the final victory, served this one magnificent purpose, that the one true God would be known, that he would be acknowledged, and ultimately that he would be worshipped for his incredible glory.
Now, to really understand this goal, we've got to rewind. We have to go back to a really crucial moment, before any of the plagues even started. We're going to Midian, to a man named Moses, a very strange burning bush, and the revelation of what is arguably the most important name in history.
You have to put yourself in Moses' shoes here. He knows this is a huge mission. And he knows the Israelites, who have been surrounded by the dozens of gods in Egypt, are going to ask a very simple, very fair question. Okay, so which God sent you? What's his name? And God's answer to that question is just profound.
So before God even gives a name, he reveals his very nature. I am who I am. This is a statement of absolute, independent, eternal reality. He's basically saying, look, before you get a name you can call me, I need you to be completely stunned at the fact that I simply am.
And notice the bridge that God is building right here. He takes this incredible statement about his own being, I am, and he turns it into a name. He's directly connecting who he is at the most fundamental level with his actions in the world. The one who absolutely is the very one who is sending you.
And then, finally, he gives the name, Yahweh. Now, in most of our Bibles, you'll see this translated as the Lord in all capital letters. That's your cue. This name, which is built right on that verb I am, is his personal covenant name. It's his memorial name. It's the name he wants to be known by forever, as the God who exists on his own and always, always keeps his promises.
So, what does this name, rooted in I am who I am, really truly mean? It's so much more than just a label. It's a deep, profound statement about the very essence of God.
And just to give you a sense of how important this is, the name Yahweh shows up over 6,800 times in the Old Testament. Let that sink in. Every single time, it's like God is reminding his people of his completely unique, absolute nature. So let's break down what that means.
First off, it means he is eternal. He never started, and he'll never end. You know when a kid asks that question, who made God? The real, mind-bending answer is nobody. God just is, and he always was. He's the absolute, uncreated reality. Second, he's completely independent. He doesn't need anything to exist. He doesn't need advice. He doesn't need support. Everything else, and I mean everything, this planet, the sun, the whole universe, is secondary. It all depends completely on him for its very existence, moment by moment.
And third, he is absolute. God doesn't look at a rule book to figure out what's right or true. He is the rule book. He is the standard. Things like truth and goodness and beauty, they aren't just ideas floating out there that God follows. They are literally reflections of his own perfect character.
Here's an analogy that might help make sense of this. Think about something like the laws of physics, right? We don't create them. They're just the fundamental reality that governs how everything in the universe works. Well, in an infinitely deeper way, God's being, his I amness, is the ultimate reality that defines and holds everything else together.
But here's where the story just explodes in scope. God's plan for this name went way beyond a small tribe of slaves in Egypt. From the very, very beginning, the audience for this drama was meant to be the entire world.
You can see how God orchestrates the Exodus with this widening ripple effect. First, his own people, Israel, they need to know that he is Yahweh, their Redeemer. Second, the mighty Egyptian Empire, they're going to learn about his unrivaled power. And third, the story was designed to echo out so that all the nations would hear his name.
I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than this. This is one of the most explicit purpose statements in the whole story.
God tells Pharaoh to his face, your very existence, your stubbornness, all of it is serving my ultimate plan. And that plan is that my name, Yahweh, would be proclaimed not just here in Egypt, but in all the earth.
But just being known was only part of the plan. It was the means to an even greater end. See, God didn't just want his name to be a headline that people knew about. He wanted his name to be glorified.
Twice in the story, as Pharaoh's army is chasing Israel down at the Red Sea, God says he will get glory over them. And the original language here gives us an even deeper insight. It's more like, I will be glorified. This isn't God trying to get something he doesn't have. It's about his true worth and weight being put on full display for everyone to see and acknowledge.
And this distinction is absolutely crucial. Plenty of people would know his name and tremble, right? The Egyptians certainly did. But God's ultimate design wasn't just to be feared. It was for his name to be known and treasured. He wanted people to see his power and respond not just with reluctant respect, but with absolute, awe-filled worship.
So that brings us to the climax, the grand finale of God's entire plan. What does it actually look like when God's name is glorified? Well, it looks like joyful, spontaneous, heartfelt worship. Think about it. The second the threat is gone, the moment Pharaoh's army is swallowed by the sea, what happens? An absolute explosion of worship. Moses starts singing. Miriam grabs a tambourine. The women start dancing. This is not an afterthought. This was the target. This was the very response God was aiming for all along. Just listen to the words of their song. They are singing to the Lord because he has triumphed gloriously. They see his glory on display in this incredible act of salvation, and their hearts just erupt in praise. This is what it means for God to be glorified. Let that just sink in for a minute. The 10 plagues, the Passover lamb, the parting of the sea, all of it was perfectly orchestrated by a sovereign God whose ultimate goal was to show off his glorious nature and his name so that he could unleash this exact kind of joyful, heartfelt worship from his people.
And so that's where we'll leave it, with this question. If the whole point of the greatest rescue mission in history was for God to be glorified, and for his people to find their deepest joy in that very glorification, well, what does that mean for us? It suggests that our ultimate purpose isn't something separate from God's, it's found right in the middle of it. To see him for who he is, glorious, and to respond with joyful worship. Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.